13 News Now is in storm mode as we take a live look at Kitty Hawk. Thunderstorms rolled through here earlier. Now there are new concerns.
A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for several parts of the area.
Let's go straight to the expert. Our chief meteorologist, Jeff Lawson, is tracking the storm's path.
Yeah, a couple of different areas that we're watching right now. Meanwhile, almost every spot on here showing a little bit of sunshine mixed in with a little bit of cloudiness. But for the most part, the storms are now to the north. We've had some here across North Carolina. Most of that has turned into just shower activity. We actually have a flood warning there just over areas of Charles City and New Kent, extreme northern parts of the viewing area. Some heavy showers and storms also getting ready to move in. But this was a pretty active area earlier. Now it's affecting right about from Knott's Island, basically down through much of the northern and central Outer Banks. That's all moving to the east. This stuff here was also a severe thunderstorm at one point. Now it's just a pretty heavy downpour moving due east, and a little bit of thunder at one point with this line that was moving, or the two little areas moving up across areas of Sussex there. But this is the real one. This is the real deal. As you can see, tons of lightning, very strong wind gusts. We've had several warnings with this line, and it is working its way to the east. So we have this thunderstorm watch again from the Middle Peninsula to Williamsburg northward. If it continues at the same speed of movement, these are the times it's going to get to places like Battery at 6:19, Warsaw 7:03, Jamaica 7:51, Alfonso at 8:07, so 25 miles per hour. As for what we can expect here, again, a little bit of activity down to the south, not as heavy as that is showing. The line to the north starts to move in and should tend to weaken a little bit as we go through the later evening. How about the next couple of days? We have some significant changes in the pattern, and that's what I'm going to discuss in just a little while.
All right, thanks, Jeff. We have breaking news. A federal judge on the Eastern District of Virginia just sided with Gavin Grimm. He's the transgender student who graduated last year in Gloucester County.
Today's ruling says that federal law protects transgender students from being forced to use separate restroom facilities. The court also denied the Gloucester County School Board's motion to dismiss the case.
Other news developing now, a deadly plane crash in Chesapeake.
Jeffrey Cuomo's family confirms to 13 News Now that he was at the controls. His single-engine plane went down in a field shortly after taking off from Chesapeake Regional Airport this morning. Now, federal investigators are working to find out exactly what went wrong. Allie Witherton joins us now live. And Allie, you just got an update from investigators.
Yes, David, we just heard from NTSB. Now, they actually look at exactly what happened and why. Now, I want to take a step out of the frame so you can see this plane. It's pretty far out there in the field. You can probably see it's very, very small. Now, the NTSB says it was a Piper PA 28140. We also learned the pilot did not communicate with air traffic control. On Ryan Guard's way to work.
But I'm not sure how long it had been burning for by the time I came past it.
He saw something in the distance on fire.
Instantly thought that, that's not normal to be burning this early.
When he looked closer, he noticed it was a small plane.
I saw the tail section with flames going up pretty much around the front of it.
According to Virginia State Police, the crash happened in a field less than 3/10 of a mile away from the runway. When the plane went down, it caught fire.
It's tragic by all means.
State police believe the pilot was taking off from the airport and was headed to Farmingdale, New York. Right now, the FAA and state police continue to investigate. Now, after this investigation is completed here, this plane will be moved to Delaware, where investigations will continue. I'm told it will take around 12 to 18 months to find a probable cause. Live in Chesapeake, Allie Witherton, 13 News Now.
Right, here's what we know about the type of plane that went down. The Piper PA-28 first rolled off the production line in 1960. New planes are still being built. Each single-engine plane costs around $470,000. It can carry a pilot and 3 passengers and go more than 500 miles in a single trip.
Back in March, another plane went down in Chesapeake. That is when we showed you the single-engine plane nose down just off the runway. 2 people were on board. They walked away. The impact of the crash caused the plane to leak fuel.
Right now, new plans for an updated Virginia Beach City Hall. Here's what the aging building looks like right here. It was built nearly a half a century ago, and some say it desperately needs a facelift. All right, 13 News Now reporter Jacqueline Lee is live with what the new look could look like. Jacqueline.
Well, David, city council members tell me that the new city hall will go right over here next to the current one. Today, Mobley architects presented to city council members, showing them what the future city hall could possibly look like. Today, Mobley architects presented these renderings to City Council, just an idea of what the new City Hall building will look like. These renderings aren't final. Council members gave input today as part of the city's early stages in constructing this building.
Remember that this new building is going to be the People's House. Councilman
Bobby Dyer and other City Council members voted back in October to build anew, right next door. The new building will stand at 3 stories and will add an additional 70,000 square feet.
With the larger gallery, get people out to the meetings, get them proactive, get them involved, and help us make those difficult decisions we're going to have to do in the future.
The list of problems within the current City Hall is long. These pictures only show part of it. Back in October, I spoke with city engineer Tom Nicholas.
The electrical system, the heating, ventilation, air conditioning system in a condition that's very old, very deteriorated, in an environment full of asbestos. And so it's time to address this.
Aside from the current building's dilapidated condition, Dyer explained that another motivating reason was the public wanted a larger city council chamber, but it comes with a price tag of $55 million. Dyer said he's aware some residents think that money should go towards stormwater concerns and public safety.
We want to build this to last, and we want this to be representative of what Virginia Beach is about. And the point is, this is going to be the people's building that's going to last a very long time.
And construction is expected to begin next year and finish by 2021. Live in Virginia Beach, Jacqueline Lee, 13 News Now.
More development news in Suffolk. Shovels could hit the ground later this summer on a mixed-use development. It is called Bridgeport. Plans call for 450 apartments, including 150 for seniors, to be built across from the Bennett's Creek Farmers Market. It will also include 70,000 square feet of retail, restaurant, and office space. Let's go live to Hampton. The Fort Monroe Authority is trying to breathe new life into the former military site. The group wants to remodel and redevelop many of the old buildings on the property.
Right now, they're soliciting developers and investors. The hope is they can do the work. The authority also wants to attract more businesses and get more people to call Fort Monroe home.
In order to really bring these buildings back into a viable condition, it's going to take investment from private developers and private investment people.
Work is about to start at the old library that will be turned into a visitor and education center. Work should wrap up by next August, which marks 400 years from when the first Africans came to the country through Fort Monroe.